Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for attending. We're really excited to have this webinar with Scott from VentureLab today. I just wanted to give a quick intro on the network. I'm sure most of you know who we are, but we're the Network for Youth Success. We are an after-school intermediary, and we support high quality expanded learning and developing opportunities for after-school programs, out-of-school time programs. We're the backbone agency also for the community schools. And we also are the lead for the National Girls Collaborative Project. And I should say I'm Abby. I am the STEAM and Strategic Partnerships Coordinator with the network as well. And then briefly, I just want to share, we do have some STEAM sessions coming up before I'm going to pass it over to Scott. So we do have two new STEAM trainings. One is focused on math and one is nature-based learning. So I will share that in the chat for you to look at and see if you want to sign up. They are free. And I'm going to pass it over to Scott to get started.
Hey, thank you, Abby. And if you haven't already been, I'm just going to throw you right to the website of the topic of why we're here. And then if you're a multitasker like me, feel free to peruse. And then we're also going to be going through some different pieces and activities and resources. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate that. Um, we are getting your students, New York students, ready for the Mott $1 Million Challenge. Thanks, Abby, and your work network for youth success. Uh, y'all need to know that this after-school organization is statewide, obviously, but they're one of 50 that is funded by the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation. And their goal, as Abby stated, is working at the state level to really advocate for you all to make sure that you have the funding, the support that you need. And so if you have not even just signed up for their newsletter, that's a great place to start. But I'm sure the trainings and all the other resources they provide, please take advantage of that. It's an amazing resource. VentureLab, we're here in collaboration with some other youth entrepreneurship organizations, also and supported by the Mott Foundation, the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, or NIFTY, the Young Entrepreneur Institute, or YEI, and then our friends at the After School Alliance and Collaborative Communications. VentureLab's mission is to create the next generation of diverse innovators and change makers, making entrepreneurship education worldwide. And we do that by working with you all and equipping you with the tools and the resources, the support, and professional development, so you can model and teach those mindsets and skills to the youth that you serve. Uh, Interesting, you've got those STEAM programs. VentureLab puts the E in front of it just to mix up the alphabet soup, and it's bringing STEM and the arts to life through entrepreneurship. So that framework, check out venturelab.org to see more about that. Personally, I come from education. I spent 10 years in the classroom, and after school, I was part of our Boys and Girls Club program. In the summers, I worked in summer camps, and I personally love learning and facilitating the learning process. It's reciprocal, getting to facilitate learning and to see youth become more courageous and confident in themselves. That's the ultimate goal. And so I appreciate y'all's work in that as well. Before we get into the details of the competition, one of the best parts of coming together as a group is making connections and meeting new people. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Abby's going to open up the breakout rooms, and I will drop in the chat here 3 questions. If you would please meet somebody new and share with them what is the school or organization that you are with, your role, and then a mindset question. VentureLab has some mindset random generator cards. You can check that out on the website here. And what is something you were afraid to do but tried anyway? So, Abby, are you able to open up those breakout rooms, please?
Yep, I'm going to start them right now. You should see.
All right, you'll have about 4 to 5 minutes. And if you are having trouble finding that button, let us know. And it looks like, am I the unassigned person?
Yeah, someone just came in, but I assigned them.
Sweet. She's quick. She's like, Scott, this is
Yeah, right.
not my first rodeo, Scott.
Although I just threw them in, unfortunately.
Okay, we have Bailey and Doreen and Lynetta. If you are unable to join, we know there's always stuff going on in life. If you can participate in the chat, that's spectacular. If you'd also like to just be here in the main room, you can talk to each other. And I'm going to hop through.
Sounds good. Hi, Marie. Just want to let you know.
I'm sorry, I realize that I have a conflicted schedule, so I'm in the train, but we'll listen, okay?
No problem. You can listen in. I was just going to let you know people were going in and out of a breakout room, but you're welcome to just stay here and just listen. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and then I have to figure out how to get it.
Well, Scott, you're muted. One sec. It must automatically mute. Yeah.
It does. Are you able to extend the time in the breakout room?
Think? I've never done that. I'm hoping maybe. It's not letting me.
Okay.
All right. Oh, that's a good thing to note, though. I didn't. It does give an extra minute, 6 minutes total, but
Okay.
so 3 more minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to send out a broadcast? I can. I'll just send out a broadcast
Oh,
message.
I see.
So they have 3 minutes left.
Yeah. That probably is short for some of them. Some people have. Uh, there's one group that's big. Yeah. Marie, for the next, I think there's going to be one more breakout like later on. You're welcome to go in if you want, and even if you can't, talk back and forth, that's fine. But I didn't want to exclude you. I felt like I excluded you from jumping in, but I can put you in, and then it's your choice if you want to go in or not. Okay.
Can I ask a question? Are you having the same meeting again in the future, or is it just today?
We were just planning on doing it today. We will record this right now too, so you can have the recording after. And I do know other, like I think the After School Alliance is doing another one. So there's some other calls that we share through our listserv. No, this was the key for me.
I remembered to unmute, y'all. That's my nemesis, is the Zoom mute brings you back in. Um, Nancy and I were having a conversation. Nancy, my email address is real easy. It's my first name and venturelab.org. So right there in my little Zoom tile. Welcome back, everybody, from our first breakout. I would love to hear from you. A share out of something that you heard. One of those active listening skills that we can help develop in our youth is when they have conversation, not have them share what their thoughts were, but what were the thoughts of someone in your group. So I'd love to hear something that kind of surfaced and maybe made an impact on you from your group. What was a moment of courage?
I guess I can start. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natalie, silent H in my name, so just Natalie. Um, I was with Nancy, and we also had Alex, but Nancy, I can remember that. Oh, I'm sorry. I am also the Deputy Director for Roads to Success, overseeing all of the after-school programs here for the organization. And so my colleague, Nancy, who works for an organization that I used to work at, right? So that's one of the things that we had in common. She currently works at New York Edge. And one of the things that she was nervous or scared about is parenting, being a parent for the first time. I guess remembering that, you're pregnant and then having the baby and then seeing the baby in front of you and just being nervous and making sure that you want to be mindful and making sure that you're keeping the child safe at all times. I currently have a 17-year-old and I'm like, it's never going to stop. You're always going to be scared, always. So that's my share out. Thank you, Nancy, for sharing.
Yes, thank you both. Someone from another breakout room?
We had a couple group members talk about either skydiving or learning to drive from being in the city. And I think what stood out to me was A, they tried it, but then even if it was scary, they were both happy to have tried it and done it. And so it seems like a lot of the courage is the first step, but then you're hopefully it works out at the end.
That's an interesting point through those challenges that you put yourself through. There's a lot of fear that comes and nervousness that becomes before that moment of courage that you push through and do that. And that's, I think, a great example of courage being one of those attributes that we want to have in our youth is for them to have the courage and for us to create a safe space where they can take those kind of risks. And sometimes for kids and their peer groups, sometimes that risk is just talking out loud, sharing an idea, which is one of the things that entrepreneurial learning, as we'll get to, provides that opportunity. Cool. Thanks, Tim. Another group? Love to hear from you.
Oh, I guess I can go. So our group really cool. Because I mean, just the obvious like idiom cliche, right? Like courage is being afraid and still doing it anyway. So I would say a really cool breakout room. We talked a lot about public speaking and someone who went deep sea diving with like urchins and everything. Um, Personally couldn't be me. So they're cooler than I am in that sense. But I did want to piggyback on something you said, Scott, on like the whole use and being able to share. Because oftentimes that's what I've come to like realize in often like youth spaces, especially when they are expected to lead but aren't really giving the not necessarily the space, but the accessibility to do so. And how often are youth shunned for curiosity, told like by peers, families, even other caring adults that that's not a good question, or they're dismissed, or because it doesn't fit the curriculum or the lesson plan for the day, it doesn't get answered whatsoever. And oftentimes we are stifling curiosity as a result. So I'm happy that that's not the case here.
Yeah, I appreciate you kind of surfacing that. And as a former someone that's worked in outside school time and then a classroom educator, a lot of time there is that constraint. Like we have a lesson plan, we have learning objectives, and we have a test. And that's one of my favorite things about the OST space, this after school, spring break, summer learning, is we can take a beat and say, hey, that's a great question. And then you follow it up with that mindset of like, you're being curious right now, or the way that you just helped your friend in that difficult moment, that's empathy. You're empathetic. And that's where this idea of entrepreneurial mindsets, coming back here, it's more than starting a business. So we take this already long word, we want to stretch it out a little longer and help students and us as adults see that these are actually a group of words, these attributes, these entrepreneurial mindsets. There are skills that go along with that. There's a deep debate about where creativity belongs, and we'll love to have that one offline with anybody. But just thinking about our kids, I encourage you to visualize some students that you interact with, and from your past, or maybe you saw them yesterday. How are they already practicing these mindsets and skills? Maybe take us into a moment of, obviously no names, but just thinking about where you've seen that. And I dropped in the chat this page right here. You can take this and use these. These are print 8.5 by 11. This is for the upper grades, has those mindsets and skills with some brief definitions. Here's our lower elementary, talking about student ask questions. They get to say, I am curious. So bringing back over here, love for you to unmute and tell us about a student and how they're using the mindsets. Tell me about it. What about you, Susie? Do your students ever demonstrate any curiosity or creativity?
Absolutely. Well, I work in the art department, so we're always curious in art, and all of our lesson plans have an essential question. They're always thinking about something. So, one thing that comes to mind is we're producing a film festival slash fashion show, and students are thinking about the art of every day and how that they can convey that either via a short film or a fashion collection. So that's both observation and curiosity and making it their own. So a lot of these things go into it, but I definitely think, growth mindset and yeah, asking questions is a starting point to curiosity, I find, with a lot of our lessons, and the way we approach things in general.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Susie. Who's next?
Hi, so for the students that I'm referring to, we have a youth board, and these are the students that I would have interact or enter for this competition. And they are probably some of not only the brightest minds that I know, but some of probably the most compassionate and creative minds that I know as well. A lot of our youth board kids have gone on to create programming for the town youth and rec. We've had students who noticed a need, how there wasn't enough teenage age programming, and so they created the program. They put an effort. They work with our town board. They work with their local age groups. They got peer reviews from students. They reached out to their schools. So a lot of them have put a lot of effort into working with the community to make problem solving with creative solutions. And I really think this program would be a great fit for them. And I'm curious how they could take it even further.
Excellent. Thank you, Jessica. And I want to take this opportunity that is their entrepreneurship. There's lots of different on-ramps and then opportunities to continue. So these on-ramps, and we're going to do an activity in a little bit that's just purely kind of improv and creativity based, rooted in imagination. One of the rules of this pitch challenge is that it doesn't have to be a viable business. Students can create something within a 15-minute, 30-minute session in your program, and that can be their video that they submit to the Mott challenge. Or it can be something that's a social project. If they created something and of value and they believe in it, that is their pitch video. So they can talk about a program they created for their after school program, Jessica, as an example. Or Susie, if there's a fashion line and it's just a concept, maybe they just have a 2D prototype, AKA drawing on a sheet of paper, and they just want to talk about their idea and what they made. That is the kind of opportunity that we want to create so that all students that may not have some sort of business in mind yet, to have an on-ramp to entrepreneurship. And if they're already, Jessica, down the road a little bit and they're wanting to formalize, that's definitely something that through VentureLab and or the partners at Nifty and YEI, this is just our first meeting of hopefully many. Anybody else before we move on? Trying to practice that wait time. All right, gonna take us into the details of a little bit. So this is where Q&A. If you want to drop things in the chat or unmute, please let me know. Just framing this for you in New York, 3 things to keep in mind. You do not have to be an entrepreneur. You do not have to have an entrepreneur come in to work with your students. This is a positive youth development opportunity for you to say, hey, what ideas do you have? I care about them. I want to hear about them. Let's record your idea, 30 to 90 seconds, and we're going to enter this competition. End of story. Your goal in the state of New York is to have students that enter. We're looking for 200 in your state. To do that, I'm giving you a SMART goal, y'all. Love a good SMART goal. The educator in me's got to have it. So I would like for you to think in your program, in your group of students, picture 5 of them or 5 submissions because they can enter as an individual or in groups up to 3. I would like for you to work toward having 5 entries by February 27th, which is our deadline. If you want to get them in before then and help my blood pressure, I would really appreciate that. And know that in the state of New York, 24 of your youth will win in the first round, and they will win around $300 to $350 just for that 30 to 90 second video. If they complete that and are selected to move into the later rounds, they will be asked to do a basic slide deck. They may be asked to create a basic prototype if they don't already have one. And then they will be invited to Flint, Michigan in June with the exact date to be determined. It's an all expense paid trip for them and one caregiver. And there they will have opportunities to pitch for up to $50,000. And that's where the $1 million comes because we will have these 24 youth representing New York. Not all 24 will come to Flint, but that's that first round winners. The website itself, mottmillion.org. I dropped that in the chat at the very beginning, and I'm going to drop this in the chat again. If you just came through, welcome. And I'm going to bring us to the resource page here. Repeating, you do not have to go get an entrepreneur or have a background in entrepreneurship. In fact, if you've already got STEAM learning happening and just like a classic catapult building, catapults, that's a food delivery business right there. That's a new invention because I need to pass notes to my friends in class and not get caught. So I have the note catapult. Like there's my pitch. If you're doing service learning, creating something, Jessica, your example there was kind of a service-based business. The competition has 2 tracks, a business track and a social track. Don't worry about which category your students might fall into yet. You're just trying to work with them on their idea. And when we do submissions, you'll see how that works. Science fair, lots of inventions get created in certain categories of science fairs or any other programming that is STEM, STEAM, art, music, agriculture, across the board. If you're looking for a resource because your students aren't there yet and you're not quite sure how to facilitate that conversation or activity, there are a couple options here. The short one is a game we're going to play if we have time at the end called Wacky Inventions. If you have a little bit more time, you can do up to 5 sessions with our friends at YEI. You can click here and they have a pitch toolkit. Download it. It's a PDF and it's a series of activities that are very succinct, very well done. They help you facilitate your kids coming up with an idea, creating a little business plan, and then a pitch. If you have more time and want to go deeper, and you haven't yet been to mizzen.org, they're an online community that is for the after school community and space. Lots of great resources and opportunities there. And they have a library of activities on a variety of topics. And one of them is youth entrepreneurship. So mizzen.org is a great spot to be. Before I continue, I want to stop here for questions. Logistics. This is how it works. Anybody?
I have a question. Sorry. Are youth, are they represented by a school or an organization, or are they allowed to do this as an individual on their own?
Great question. They are allowed to do this as an individual student on their own. So this is something you definitely can share out depending on everyone's kind of learning community is a little bit different in how they take action. So you can, if you're sharing this with parents or community, you'll want to come to. So we were talking about how you can share this opportunity with your kiddos. Opening up the Zoom link on my calendar. Is there a criteria for points? Yes, that is a great question. And I am registering again. There on the website in the FAQ section, there is the link to our rubric. The rubric is very simple and straightforward. My magic trick. I apologize about that. It's not a good Zoom webinar unless there's some sort of technical difficulty. I'm the culprit of this one. So that rubric, I'm going to make sure that it's more front and center on the website, but yes, it is there. It's around creativity and clarity. It's not anything, there's no business plan. They're not looking for financial viability or anything like that. They really are just wanting to hear what are the ideas that your youth have. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to bring us back to that where I was on this reviewer site. This is where you'll find a lot of the information around the details of what you can share. This is what you would send out to family and other program sites. This is where they create an account to log in to submit their video. One of the things, if you are, we facilitated and set this up in a way where you can submit for your youth, but we know that sometimes with working with kids and students and their information, we've set up some ways to make it easier for you. So to get parent consent on this site right here, there's a parent and guardian consent form that is digital. So you can send this via text message and or email. There's a printable version as well. They click that their student is under or over 18. And if they agree to this, then they simply have to put their child's name, the child's date of birth. They do a digital signature, type in their signature and submit. And it's that easy. So you can have students participate in this activity, record the video, and then get parent consent before you make a submission. To do that as well in the portal, I created a spreadsheet here that makes it easier for you to make multiple submissions at a time. So it's not clunky. You don't have to create an account for each entry, just the information in red. And you'll notice that we do not need or ask for student identifying contact information. We know that that's privacy concerns. And so for this first round, we simply need the student's name and their parent name. So if they win, we can match up and deliver those prizes. So that's a little bit in the weeds in the logistics, the how to enter a submission. Any questions about how to facilitate that? You have those five students in mind, kind of thinking of where those 5 submissions can come from. Reminder that one student can enter twice, so they can have an idea that they present individually, and then they can work in groups of up to 3 to also present a different idea. So if a kid's like, oh, I don't want to do that, but their friend gives them that extra courage, they can work together. All right, I'm seeing head nods. Everybody feeling good about it? No, I love that question. That's they are not limited to five. That is just me being smart goalie and trying to make it what is it? Measurable. That's my M in smart. But I would love for there to be for your org to rep and be able to stand up on the stage and sound from the great state of New York from this organization. And here's my idea. So the more entries you have, more submissions, the more likely that is to happen. All right, feeling good. One of the other resources that I want to show you here, uh, back on our resource page, uh, there's a session outline. So this is something that you can use if you're frontline staff, or you can give this to your staff to figure out like what does it look like to help a student to introduce the challenge to them, do an activity to help them come up with an idea, and then record and submit a video. Gives you a little time allocation here, and we know that that may need to be adjusted. Again, this is if you don't yet have an idea and you want to introduce the challenge, have an activity, record the videos, show one or two exemplar pitch videos. On this resource website, y'all, we've got the grade categories here. You can click through in the business idea and pick one of these ideas. So hairstyling, this is a young lady, 47 seconds. This is the video. No background, no music, just her talking about how she has a challenge finding someone that can help her with her hairstyle. And that's the business she's going to create. Simple as that. Amazing, this submission, and this was a winner from a state competition in Ohio. Here's a business of these amazing little entrepreneurial thinkers. I think just in a couple session STEM activity, they had to think about what does a pet need? And they created this really automated, cool way for pets to pick what treat they want. So the pet gets to push down, the treat comes out, kind of like a pet Pez dispenser. And it was just look at these smiles, like they're having fun. They recorded the video. They got to make a really cool prototype. If we think about the design process, prototyping and iterating, got to engage all of those amazing pieces as well. So that's where we can find exemplar pitch videos. And then the activity piece, this is what we are going to do right now. I'm going to bring us back over to the deck, and we're about to go into breakout rooms, and we're going to experience an activity that you can take back and do with your students, or do with staff. It's a lot of fun to connect to those mindsets and skills. So we're going to play wacky inventions. So in wacky inventions, we take two objects. We spend some time observing them. To your point, Susie, observation is one of those in the toolbox of creativity. And then we're going to think about ways we can combine them. So I'll drop in the chat a link to here to this website. It's also on the one pager when you're looking at activity resources. Depending on how much time you have, you can visit our friends at YEI or our friends at Mizzen, or you can come to Wacky Inventions, and you're going to draw a card. I got a chair and some bowling balls. This one's going to be fun. So we'll do a whole group example before Abby puts you back in your breakout rooms. So for my chair, I'm going to ask, what does it do? Who uses it? And what else could we do with it? So for our chair, we sit in it. People who need to sit, I guess, use a chair, maybe gamers. What else might we do with the chair? I need y'all's help on this one. Brainstorming rules apply. No bad answers. What else might you use a chair for?
Exercise, stretching.
Yes. What else?
Stand on to reach high places.
100%. Turn it upside down, use it as an umbrella. My wife just texted me that it's raining here and someone was walking down the street with a miniature trampoline as an umbrella. So that was genius and really awkward. Okay, for time, we'll pause there. In your group, you can have some time brainstorming. We have a bowling. I'm going to pick the bowling ball here. Who uses it and what does it do? Someone who bowls. They use knockdown bowling pins. What else could we use a bowling ball for? I'm looking forward to these ideas. Hit me with them.
Could use them as structural integrity, use it to like fill concrete poles or something, since they're pretty much concrete. I'm not sure what they are actually.
Yes. Some structural elements. I'm going to shrink them and make little bowling ball earrings. we're brainstorming, y'all.
Well, so if we can shrink them, I shrink them to medium size and make them paperweights for outdoor events.
Yes. Awesome. Well, pause there. Y'all are getting it. Okay. And imagine your students being given this opportunity to brainstorm, use their imagination. Creativity is a process and it takes a minute, but that's the whole point is to create space for them to engage their imagination and be creative because they don't get that a lot of other places. So we're going to take our chair, we're going to take our bowling ball, and then we're going to come up with different ways on how we might combine the two. Thoughts on that, y'all? How are we going to combine what we were thinking around the chair and bowling ball? Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna take a shot at it. So, boom, boom. Okay, I got it. Are you misplacing your umbrella? Because I am. And right when I need it most, it's nowhere around. I just seem to set it down and it falls right over and I walk away from it. So to fix that, I created the umbrella chair. And with the umbrella chair, instead of leaning it up against the wall, it actually you push a button and four legs will pop out. But don't worry, the legs aren't sharp or pointy. They actually have these very small circular end pieces that look little like a bowling ball. And your umbrella will stay standing. If it's wet, you can open it up and it will drip dry. Simply push the button and your umbrella chair will fold itself back up. The legs will collapse and hide. Don't even see them. So call now, 555-5555, and you can have an umbrella chair of your own. There you go. That is wacky inventions, y'all. That was my entrance to the Mott Million Pitch Challenge. Thank you, Natalie, with the silent H. Can you visualize those 5 students or more, those 5 submissions across your community? We really want that representation from your state, great state of New York. If you don't know NYS, you're probably here because of a newsletter or someone shared it with you. But if you're not familiar with the Network for Youth Success and their work at the state level, again, in policy, advocacy, legislation, all of the professional development opportunities, by certain funding opportunities, please visit their website, check them out, email Abby. The mottmillion.org website just dropped in the chat. That is your source of truth. All the details and the logistics and where to do the submissions are there. And then my email address, scott@venturelab.org. If you have questions or if there's opportunities, the deadline for this is February 27th, but y'all, this is just one opportunity. This is the on-ramp. We want entrepreneurial learning to be a part of a student's experience as they go through their K-12 pipeline in school and out of school. So if you haven't already created these experiences, here's a great way to get started. Shout out to friends again in New Jersey, in JSAC, during Call Me. And thank you all very much for the service that you provide for your community, for those families, for the state of New York. Keep up the great work.